Lesson: Auditing Organizational Data Retention Policies. Auditing organizational data retention policies is a critical aspect of ensuring data privacy and protection in any business environment. As data volumes grow exponentially, organizations find themselves under increasing pressure to manage information efficiently while complying with legal and regulatory requirements. Effective data retention policies are designed to maintain the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of data over its lifecycle, from creation to destruction. However, without regular audits, these policies can become obsolete, leading to potential compliance risks and inefficiencies. This lesson provides actionable insights, practical tools, frameworks, and step-by-step applications that data privacy and protection auditors can implement to evaluate and enhance organizational data retention policies. A key tool in auditing data retention policies is the Data Retention Schedule. This schedule outlines the types of data held by the organization, the retention period for each type, and the legal or business rationale for these periods. Auditors should ensure that this schedule is comprehensive and aligns with relevant legal requirements, such as the General Data Protection Regulation in Europe or the California Consumer Privacy Act in the United States. For instance, GDPR mandates that personal data should not be kept longer than necessary for the purposes for which it is processed. Auditors should verify that the retention periods are justified and that there are procedures in place for the secure deletion of data once these periods expire. In practice, organizations can make use of data mapping tools to gain a clear understanding of what data is stored, where, and for how long. Data mapping helps in identifying data flows across the organization and can uncover instances of data that are retained longer than necessary. Tools like OneTrust or TrustArc can be used in this context to automate and simplify the data mapping process. By employing these tools, auditors can efficiently highlight discrepancies between the data retention schedule and actual practices, facilitating a more accurate audit process. Once the data mapping is complete, auditors should assess the organization's compliance with its own data retention policy. This involves examining how data is archived, accessed, and eventually disposed of. An important aspect here is the implementation of role-based access controls to ensure that only authorized personnel can access sensitive data. For example, using tools like Varonis or Netrix, auditors can track data access patterns and identify any unauthorized access that may suggest noncompliance with the policy. Ensuring that access controls are robust is vital for protecting data integrity and maintaining confidentiality. In addition to technical controls, auditors should evaluate the organizational culture and employee awareness regarding data retention policies. Often, policy breaches occur not due to malicious intent, but due to a lack of understanding or awareness among employees. Conducting regular training sessions and workshops can reinforce the importance of compliance and educate employees about best practices in data retention. Studies have shown that organizations with regular training programs report significantly fewer data breaches. Auditors should review training records and materials to ensure that they are up to date and comprehensive. Case studies from organizations that have faced significant data breaches due to poor data retention practices can serve as cautionary tales. For instance, the data breach at Equifax in 2017, which exposed the personal information of over 147 million people, was partly attributed to inadequate data governance and retention practices. By analyzing such cases, auditors can identify common pitfalls and apply these lessons to the organizations they audit, thereby proactively mitigating similar risks. Technology plays an increasingly vital role in managing data retention, and auditors should be familiar with the latest advancements and tools. For instance, the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence in data retention can automate classification and tagging of data, making it easier to enforce retention schedules and ensure compliance. Tools such as IBM Watson or Microsoft Azure AI offer capabilities to automate these tasks, reducing the risk of human error and improving efficiency. Auditors should assess the integration of such technologies within the organization's data management framework to determine their effectiveness in supporting data retention policies. Legal and regulatory frameworks are continuously evolving, and auditors must ensure that data retention policies keep pace with these changes. For example, the introduction of new privacy laws in various jurisdictions can impact retention requirements. Auditors should stay informed about legal developments and assess whether organizational policies are updated accordingly. This involves reviewing policy documentation and consulting with legal experts if necessary to ensure compliance with the latest regulations. A step-by-step application for auditing data retention policies begins with planning and scoping the audit. Auditors should define the objectives, scope, and criteria for the audit, considering factors such as the organization's size, industry, and regulatory environment. The next step involves collecting and reviewing relevant documentation, including the data retention policy, data retention schedule, and data mapping reports. Following this, auditors should conduct interviews with key stakeholders to understand the practical implementation of the policy and identify any gaps or challenges. The audit process should also include testing and validation of the controls related to data retention. This involves sampling data records to verify compliance with the retention schedule and inspecting access logs to ensure that access controls are enforced. Any findings or discrepancies should be documented, and auditors should work with the organization to develop actionable recommendations for improvement. Finally, auditors should prepare a comprehensive audit report that outlines the findings, recommendations, and a plan for follow-up actions. By applying these frameworks and tools, auditors can effectively evaluate and enhance organizational data retention policies. This not only aids in achieving compliance with legal and regulatory requirements, but also supports effective data management and risk mitigation. As data continues to grow in volume and complexity, the role of data retention auditors becomes increasingly crucial in safeguarding organizational data assets and ensuring privacy and protection.